Hey everybody, I'm John Granado. That's Lance Zerline. You can hear us mornings on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5. Hit subscribe if you haven't yet so you get all of our content here at SportsMap HOU. Lance, Jose Abreu. I love it. Okay, this is the guy you and I talked about before. I saw that's the guy that I wanted to get. I didn't know he cost this much, and I didn't know it would be 3 years. Okay, at 35 years old, are you a little bit worried about giving this guy $60 million over 3 years?
A little bit. I mean, you at the age of 35, he didn't have a bad year last year. There's nothing really to show that he's necessarily on the downturn. But at the same time, 35 years old, I think we've kind of become accustomed to seeing older players play fairly well. But we also just watched a guy in Yuli who was a batting champ and then just struggled for pretty much the entire season before putting together what was just a very memorable postseason. So I think that, for me, I'm not concerned in the short term, but I think you do have to age 36, age 37, the second year, the third year of that contract. I think it's worth taking a look at. The bigger problem for me, John, or I don't know about problem, but the concern is this doesn't feel like a deal the Astros have done in the past, right? A 3-year deal at this amount of money. Now, if that's the market rate, it's a market rate. But this is the second consecutive contract, at least in my opinion, Montero and now Abreu, where it doesn't necessarily feel like something we've seen the Astros do in the past from a value contract standpoint.
No, it's different. It absolutely is. I know maybe Jim Crane, this is how Jim Crane has always wanted to operate, and his general managers were pulling the reins in and saying, no, if we're going to build the organization this out. Or maybe this is the result of all the success. You say, you know what? We want to keep this thing going. We want to keep that window open. We want to get as many good players as possible. We're not waiting on young guys. We're just going to keep on doing what we're doing and keep on being good. I kind of like it. I'm a little bit worried that, maybe Jim Crane is taking this thing over. Maybe the Jerry Jones comments were not far off, that he actually wants to just run the whole organization from baseball operations to the business side of it as well. That's not bad. As long as he's successful, Lance. He was making all the big decisions anyway, though.
Yeah, but no. I mean, he wasn't the one targeting Neris and Montero to bring him in. That was Click. No. He's not the guy building out the minor league system. He's not. I've seen the Bill O'Brien model is no good.
Big decisions like this he was going to make anyway. Now, what worries me a little bit is I think he probably overpaid. Rizzo was this. Maybe Jose Abreu might be better than Rizzo if you want to know the truth. His numbers were down, and Keith Law pointed this out. Now, Keith Law is not a big Astros fan. Keith Law, we've heard him with the afternoon guys talking about how crappy the system is. This crappy system that has produced all these really, really good players.
Well, they didn't sign Click. He said, this is unheard of.
Right.
This is unfathomable.
No, exactly. I mean, there is a bias by Keith Law, but Abreu's power numbers are down. Now, his contact numbers are up. His swing and miss numbers are down. There's a lot of positives, but there's also the negatives and the bat speed, which could be an issue here going forward for Jose Abreu.
Well, we'll find out. I mean, we'll just have to see what the bat speed looks like. Are you going to get your money's worth? This is the first time where I have a contract where I am questioning, okay, we'll see if they get their money's worth. With Michael Brantley, you didn't really worry about that. Yuli's contracts were unbelievably team-friendly. Abreu's got to play a little bit to reach the quote-unquote value of the contract, but I'm also a firm believer that once you build your team, it's about, okay, the contract kind of goes away, and because it's all guaranteed anyway, so it's how much do you help your team move on to ALCS and World Series, which, let's face it, we're spoiled as Astros fans, but that's become the standard.
And I'm spoiled by Coors Light because every time I'm watching my team, I don't care what team it is, I've got a cold, clean, crisp, refreshing Coors Light. I'm keeping myself chill, okay, while I'm watching these games because it's so nerve-wracking when you're watching a really good team, and then it's so pitiful when you're watching our bad teams that I really need to keep chill on both sides, and that's what you can do as well. If you're looking for that beer that's going to be perfect for whatever you do, it's cold, clean, crisp, refreshing Coors Light. Yeah, I mean, I'm a little bit worried about the age and 3 years, but I love the aggressiveness of this organization right now, and maybe that's what That's why Click is no longer here, is because he wasn't being aggressive enough, that Jim Crane was trying to push him. He pushed Luhnow to go get that Verlander deal done when Luhnow was so skeptical and would not move on trades at the deadline to help the team. Maybe this is the real Jim Crane.
Yeah, but once again, I'm a believer in letting GMs GM. He's hired some smart guys in the past, some guys who come with some pretty good pedigrees, including James Click, who was just there. I think they've been smart with the money. I think they've been smart. It's not about the money that is spent. It's about making sure that you have a roster that's sustainable and making good. Daryl Morey was brilliant at that until he wasn't, until it became everything was James Harden, and then eventually it crashed. And keep maintaining stability and viability was something Morey was pretty good at with the Rockets for a time. The Astros have been phenomenal at it, but a lot of that has not been because of moves that they've made. A lot of it's been because they drafted well, because they had high draft picks when they were really, really bad. I mean, at the core, that's what it is. So Jim Crane has shown himself to be a smart owner, but even owners have lanes that they probably need to stay in my opinion.
Would you rather have Verlander signed and hit right at the luxury tax, or sign Brandon Nimmo to center field, move Chaz to left field, or DH, or whatever the case may be, and put Yordan out there as well? Which one would you prefer, Nimmo or Verlander?
Nah, run it back. I'd go Verlander. I mean, if it's not my money and I don't care, it's hard to say I don't want the Cy Young Award winner back when we see how important pitching is. So I wouldn't mind Nimmo. I certainly wouldn't mind that. I think that builds up the lineup even more, and you could certainly make the argument that you got enough pitching, you need to build up the lineup. That's certainly the argument, but you're just hard-pressed to say you don't want a guy like Justin Verlander in your locker room again. And on the bump. I mean, he's just so talented.
Yeah, if it's Nimmo, I'm okay with Nimmo if they decide to go away. But if it's Conforto or Bellinger, which we're hearing as well that the Astros are in on, then yeah, no, I'm with you. Bellinger in an Astros uniform?
No.
FOH.
Don't do that.